Hey guys, it's me, Seren, back with another video. So this video is going to be a spoiler-free review of The Incredibles 2, so no spoilers, because this movie just literally came out, so I don't want to do a spoiler review just yet. I am going to do maybe in about a week, when more people have a chance to see it. I am going to do a spoiler review. In that review video, I'm going to really get into the plot. So in this video, I'm just going to talk more about overall themes so that I don't have to get into the plot. So I'm not going to do this video in the good, the bad, and the ugly format. My next one, my spoiler review, is going to be in GBU format. So Incredibles 2. I want to start off by saying the mouse is still evil. Disney is evil. They're buying up everything. They obviously want to have a monopoly on the film industry. I hate that they own Pixar now. I only saw this movie because my friend works at the theater and I saw it for free. If I had to pay money, I would not have seen it because I'm not giving any money to Disney. I don't like what they're doing. I don't support what they're doing. I have a whole video on how I feel about that. I don't like that they're buying up everything, trying to get a monopoly on film. I really don't like that The Incredibles even got a sequel. I feel like not everything needs a sequel. While I was at the theater with my friend, I was like looking up at the movies that were playing, and it was like Avengers Infinity War, which is like, if not a sequel, but it's part of this like connected universe. It was like Deadpool 2, which is a sequel. Fucking Solo, a Star Wars story, which is also owned by Disney. Fucking Infinity Wars Marvel, which is also owned by Disney. Like, Disney, number one, they own everything. And number two, it's all this just, while we were fucking sitting in a movie theater, we saw like Wreck-It Ralph 2. We saw fucking like Lego Movie 2. Everything is like sequels, interconnected universes. Like, I really feel like they are trying, Disney especially is like leading this fucking charge to kill original filmmaking. And I love film, I love movies, I love going to the movies, and I really hate like this direction that we're going in of just like stamping out original filmmaking in favor of making fucking sequels and prequels and movies in interconnected universes just because we know that they're gonna make a lot of money. Like, not because of any other reason except we know they're gonna make a shit ton of money. Like, that is like capitalism hard at work, stamping out creativity. So I don't even think that Incredibles needed a part two. The Incredibles is one of my all-time favorite movies. Like, I only have a handful of movies on my iPad, and like The Incredibles is one of those movies, and obviously fucking Pacific Rim is on there, but we're not talking about Pacific Rim. So I feel like not everything needs a sequel. It's been 14 years since the first Incredibles. The Incredibles was great as a standalone film. The only reason why they even made a part two was because Disney bought Pixar and The Incredibles made so much money and people love it so much that they knew that this movie would also make a shitload of money. So they were like, we're moving forward with a sequel. I like Brad Bird. I think he makes really, really smart, creative work. I love his movie The Iron Giant, which had Vin Diesel in a voice acting role. Very, 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 very good, underrated film. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. So when I saw that Brad Bird was going to be involved, that gave me high hopes for the film, even though we all know that Disney would have went right on without Brad Bird, just like they did with fucking Ant-Man. Ant-Man and the Wasp is about to come out. Another motherfucking sequel. Like, they would have went on just like they did with Ant-Man when they fucking let go of Edgar Wright after he gave 10 years of his life to the project. So, starting there, I like this movie. I felt like it was very well done. I did enjoy it. I didn't hate it. I felt like the themes of this movie and even the first Incredibles were more timely now than they even were 14 years ago. Themes about doing the right thing, themes about helping people, themes about kind of fighting injustice, fighting against tyranny even, themes about doing the right thing even when it's not the popular thing to do or even the legal thing to do, what's that movie where they're like, oh, sometimes doing the right thing isn't doing the right thing? He's like, sometimes doing the right thing isn't doing the right thing. That's fucking SWAT, which also has Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson is obviously in The Incredibles as Frozone, which is why I'm able to review it because it has a black main character. There's just a lot of themes. I mean, and Samuel L. Jackson is is great as a voice actor, and he's great as fucking Frozone in The Incredibles. But he's Bob's best friend, and he's kind of like I don't want to say like an uncle figure to the kids. Like the kids get into shenanigans, and fucking Bob and Helen even get into shenanigans, and they like call Frozone. Like I'm calling Frozone. Like this, I'm calling Lucius. You're bugging, which I loved. We all love his relationship with his wife, Honey, obviously. But there's just a lot of themes about family, even getting into like the relationship between The Incredibles and Frozone and his wife, themes about family, themes about friends, themes about, again, what is the right thing to do. If you saw the first Incredibles, this film picks up exactly where the last one left off. There's like no shift, no time jump, nothing. So if you've seen the first one, then you know that like the law has made supers illegal. Did I say out loud I'm just going to go, I did, right? I'm just going to go over like the themes of this movie. I'm not going to like hit on plot because the movie just came out. I don't want to have spoilers. If I already said that, sorry, excuse me. But yeah, so it's like the law has made supers, like illegal or whatever. But basically like Mr. Incredible, well, the Parrs, they're the Parrs in their real life, Helen and Bob Parr. Mr. Incredible and his family, they want to do the right thing and they want to help people. But technically, it's not the right thing because it's illegal, right? So there's a lot of talk about legality versus illegality, about unjust laws, is it if we feel like the law is unjust because the law says that supers are illegal. It's illegal for them to help people. If we feel like the law is unjust, is it fine for us to break the law, right? We feel like the right thing to do is to help people. Even getting back again to the first Incredibles, where like Bob and Lucius, they sit in the car at night and they listen to the police scanner, and then they have to like dress up like criminals and put like ski masks on to go save people. There's a scene in like the first Incredibles where they're saving, they like intervene in a bank robbery and they like save people, but then the cops come and the cops think that like they're the bad guys because like they have to like dress up like bad guys and like technically, they are breaking the law. So there's a lot of talk about unjust laws and what is doing the right thing. Is it still doing the right thing even if we're breaking the law? Which whenever we talk about that, it always obviously makes me think about civil disobedience and protests, and even getting into like, slavery was legal at one point. Helping escaped fucking enslaved people was considered the wrong thing. It was illegal. But like, people have to decide for themselves, like, what is the right thing to do. So that's a huge running theme in the first Incredibles, as well as in The Incredibles 2, legality, unjust laws, what is doing the right thing, discussing, and also, obviously, Bob and Helen are parents. They have the fucking kids, Violet, Dash, and Jack Jack. They have a conversation at, like, their dinner table. This isn't a spoiler really because they were having these exact same conversations in the first one about just the same thing, like what do we want to do? What do we want to teach our children in terms of they have these powers, they're not supposed to use them, it's illegal. What are we teaching our kids? What are we raising our kids to believe is the right thing? Very, very timely, current subject matter. There's a lot of talk in this one about politicians and, politicians. I don't want to get too spoilery. There's a line that's like, politicians don't like when people do good things because it's right. Like, it makes them nervous. Like, when people do good things for no other reason, like that makes people nervous because they just feel like, what are you going to want out of this? What are you eventually going to want out of this situation? Like they don't understand it. And it's just like the themes of the film were just hitting really hard in our current social and political climate. Like, what is the right thing to do? How do we figure out what's the right thing to do? How do we get around these laws? How do we get around these politicians? How do we get around this perception of what we're doing? Getting back to the first Incredibles where they're dressed up with ski masks on because technically they're doing the wrong thing by helping people and the police think that they're criminals. That's perception. The perception of heroes is a big theme. The heroes save people, but they're breaking the law. The heroes save people, but they have a habit of destroying property, right? So now there's a plot about we're getting into the value of property and things over people, which we've seen in real life, which we've talked about in real life on this channel. You know, people get killed in the street and no one cares. But God forbid if you light something on fire, because now you're destroying property. Now you're destroying capital. Now you're affecting somebody's bottom line. You're affecting capitalism, and we can't have that. If you shoot that nigger in the street, nobody really cares. It's not really affecting anybody's life. But once you light that gas station on fire, you've gone too far, you know? And we see that even within the context of The Incredibles 2 as well. If you're helping people, but you destroy shit, we'd rather you just let the person die than destroy that building. We'd rather you just let the robber get away than destroy that building. Like, we'd rather you just sat on your ass and did nothing than act in a way that might affect capitalism as well. And it's also all done. I know I'm making it sound like it's like really intense and complex and political, but it's all done in a way that I do feel like it's really age appropriate. I actually think that this type of movie and the first Incredibles as well would be really good actually to take children to see, to introduce them to some of these concepts. I guess you could say like social justice and right and wrong and immorality and illegality and stuff like that in an age appropriate way, because it's done in done in a great way. Like, the movie's fun, it's entertaining, it's not beating you over the head with any type of messages. We also do see different viewpoints. Like, at one point, Bob has his own viewpoint, Helen has his own viewpoint, Lucius has his own viewpoint. The kids we see that because the kids are also more outspoken, I guess you could say, about how they feel about crime and superhero work in this one. So you can see like the kids in their viewpoint, all these different viewpoints on some of these topics, which was really, really, really cool and interesting to see. There's also a lot of themes about family that are explored. There's some interesting themes about of like role reversal in the family and in Bob and Helen's relationship specifically. In the first Incredibles movie, Bob works at the insurance company, which is like ripping people off, right? In the first Incredibles, they're ripping people off, but technically the way that they're doing it is legal, so they're not doing anything wrong. Bob tries to help people by actually getting them what they need with their insurance, and he's told that he's doing the wrong thing. All these questions about right and wrong are like really like embedded in this whole like Incredibles franchise or whatever. But so in the first Incredibles, Bob works at the insurance company, which he hates, while Helen stays home with the kids, which is more traditional. And then in the first Incredibles, Bob, he starts doing hero work and hiding it while Helen stays home with the kids. In this one, Incredibles 2, it kind of examines Bob's relationship with the kids and his role in the family dynamic a little bit more. And then it also, in the reverse, it delves deeper into Helen's experience or relationship with hero work. So in the first one, we have like Bob and his relationship with hero work and Helen and her relationship with the kids. In this one, we see more of Bob's relationship with the kids and Helen's relationship with hero work, which is really cool which was a cool thing to see as well. Like, that reversal instead of the more kind of traditional stuff that we saw in the first movie. There was some interesting commentary, of course. I feel like every movie nowadays has this on the use of screens and, the media and, digital life, digital world. If you saw or read The Hunger Games, you saw that, especially towards the end of the Hunger Games movies, there was a lot of use of media to get the public on Katniss's side and to get them to rise up against the Capitol. Here, there's a similar use of media to try and improve, like, the perception of the heroes, because we're talking about, perception. So there's a lot of talk about, again, like, we know what's the right thing to do. How do we get other people on our side? How do we improve the perception of heroes to get them on our side? Which was pretty interesting to see. The animation, of course, was fantastic. Always, it's Pixar, so that's to be expected. The action sequences were very good, especially one of the very last action sequences, that we see. Again, I don't want to get too much into plot. Like, the storyline was good. The plot was tight. the pacing was a bit slower than the first Incredibles, but I really just think that that's because they were just fleshing out the characters more. But overall, like, I really enjoyed the movie. Like I said, I wasn't initially planning on seeing it, but my friend was like, "Oh, I'm taking like a bunch of people to go see it. Like, let's go see it." And I was like, "Fine, whatever." And I did like it. I didn't like it as much as the first one. The first Incredibles movie is just like a classic, and it's a prime example of creative original filmmaking, which we don't get anymore, which is kind of ironic, but I did like The Incredibles too. I really did like it. So overall, like I said, those were a lot of the themes that were fleshed out in the movie. I thought it was really, I mean, if they were going to make a sequel, I am kind of glad that they made it now, because, again, a lot of the themes are just really pertinent for what's going on right now, and I think that it was all handled in a really tasteful, age-appropriate way for children, but it was also still fun for adults, and it was also enough kind of emotional depth and care given to these issues. I saw Zootopia. I watched it on Netflix. I did not see it in the theater. I refused. And I felt like, number one, I felt like it was some hardcore Blue Lives Matter shit, and just trying to like shoehorn, you know, oh, this is what's going on in the world right now, so we're gonna like make a movie about these issues, but it's gonna be for kids, so we're just gonna like really do surface level. This was not, Incredibles 2 was not surface level examination of these kind of social justice issues. They were like really diving deep and getting into like, you know, the meat and potatoes, again, of some really serious and intense concepts about right and wrong and legality and morality and perception and the way that we can be perceived. You know, we feel like we're doing the right thing, but we can be perceived as that we're doing the wrong thing. So how do we change that perception? Should we even care about that perception? You know, just a lot of really, really interesting topics. And I mean, I doubt most people are going to like go home and have conversations with their kids in this type of manner, but I really did like it a lot. I enjoyed it a lot. So, like I said, not a super in-depth, super in-detail review because I don't want to get too much into the plot, but again, probably in about like a week or so when more people have had a chance to see the movie, I'm going to do a good, the bad, and the ugly review where I delve more into the plot for you guys. So, any of you guys seen it? It just came out, so let me know. If you have seen it and you guys get to talking about it in the comment section, please no, oh, sorry. It was probably crooked the whole time, wasn't it? Sorry. Please no spoilers. Please no spoilers. Please save that for the next review video that's going to have spoilers because this movie literally came out like yesterday. So please no spoilers. All right? Food for thought as always. There will be some links in the description box. See you guys next time. Peace.